to show the bonds between the Africans?
No question. I mean, that's something that the writers talked a lot about. A lot of themes, a lot of symbolism, a lot of subtext and nuance. And what interests me the most, as you said, is the manifestation of the physical change of slavery on us as a society now, an American society, black and white. The destruction of the family. We know that that is something that more than the chains, more than the whips, more than the harshness of the conditions, the verbal abuse, the destruction of the family is something that, as a black community, we still feel the reverberations from. So that's another thing. Everything for me goes back to what we can take from this and the conversation that it will spark and how it will be received by a new generation. And that's something that if you do not understand that, if the weight of the scenes that show the destruction of the family, that show on the ship when, Kunta says, my brothers, not Kunta, but when they say my brothers, do not, let's work together, right? Let's not fight. If you don't understand, again, from whence you come, then how can you really truly understand why you feel the way you feel now today? How the generational, there's some negative generational cycles out there where fathers aren't involved and don't feel the responsibility, and families, have been destructed still to this day. It's important that, and the writers talked about it, we talked about it, and we talked about what, you can't do everything, even though this is, this is 8 hours, but there's a lot that, we couldn't do. There's a lot that had to come out. But one of the things that was very important was that aspect of it, because it is the family, that family unit, and the symbolism of how this attempted to destroy the family, that to me is so weighty when we think about how this should be received in the conversation that should be sparked today, right now, 2016.
There's another question.
I have to say I was extremely moved. It's the first time I saw Roots. As a young person growing up, we were always told by our parents, you have to look at Roots. But the question I really want to pose, Hollywood and the film industry, you have such a powerful platform for imparting such important stories. And I feel that there is a disconnect between the work that you do, which is important, and the education system, especially our elementary and middle school education, even high school education system. A lot of the issues around slavery, a lot of the nuances around slavery, I find that it's very whitewashed, and it's sanitized to the point where the image that we present, or the image that we receive as children concerning the slave trade is very transactional, right? And you only really learn and appreciate the nuances of slavery when you become an adult, like myself. For example, when I went to college, I decided I was going to take some courses in African American studies because I wanted to appreciate and understand my ancestry. Now, the question I'm getting at is, I see that there is a potential for the work that you do. As a director, you do amazing. This is an amazing piece of work. How then can you bridge that gap of empowerment, right? To ensure that, younger generations are systematically and properly informed about who they are.
In the educational system?
In the educational system.
Mark, are there plans to have students see this?
Absolutely, it's happening already. At colleges across America, we're already starting to have screenings for them directly. Obviously, the whole point for me of doing this project was about young America, black and white. Because my children have to understand from where the black race came as well. This is not a one-hander where, okay, let's understand as black people where we came from. We have to understand as white people where we came from as well, where this relationship that we're in today came from. So making a film, making a film.
And everyone in between.
Everyone in between. You know, art is always where I think everything begins. Discussion comes from art, revolution comes from art, education comes from art. You know, our hope as filmmakers, as actors, is that the art that we've created will reach out to my 16-year-old boy and Will's children and everybody's children and a new generation of people to have the same experience that the people who saw the first fruits were, to start the conversation, the dialogue, the debate. That's what art always does. So we create the art and we put it out there and hope that it creates the debate.
I agree with Tazel really quickly that art also isn't academic. People cannot help but create their own resonances when you tell the truth. What I did not expect to get from that was that moment when Kunta sang, my brothers, let us dance, so the white people aren't afraid of us. That hit me. And suddenly, is it Maya Angelou's poem, The Smile? Like suddenly I made that connection. And that's a very personal connection. I don't know if that's deliberate or not deliberate, but those resonances will always appear if you tell the story and if you tell the truth. And so there's all kinds of non-academic branches that can come out. My brothers let us dance so the white folk aren't scared of us too.
So I can answer that.
We have time for one more question. I don't want to pick.
Okay, we can do two.
Okay, we can do two. Someone's waving. Yes?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Taquan, and I'm a filmmaker. I'm from Brooklyn, and I went to a historically black college such as Mr. Packer, and we actually had a conference at my school about the beginning of America, and of course, you know, since America was founded on slavery, the topic of slavery came up. And we actually did speak about roots in the conference, but what actually came up about roots was as far as Alex Haley being sued for the story, and also just specific points about how like the story is actually, you know, is debated, you know, the facts of the story, and there's a lot of like fictional elements to it as well that was discussed during the conference. So I would like to know if anybody here can actually speak on the validity of the story, because you know the truth is very important and we must tell the kids the truth.
Mark or Will?
Yeah. Alex wrote a novel. He wrote a history as he saw it. And again, it's art, and it prompted conversation. The history in our miniseries and in his book is accurate. And if it prompts conversation, and this is a story of a family, you know, I mean, we could debate forever where he got the information from, how accurate it is. We know for sure that later in the history, his information is more correct because there's more history available, and earlier in the piece, it's less correct because there's not as much material available. One of the things we were able to do in this Roots is because of the reaction to the original Roots and the book and the miniseries, the academic research, the archaeological research, the historical work that was done as a result of the first Roots gave us more material to build this one more accurate than the last one. And 30 years from now, somebody will be able to make that one more accurate than this one. We're always learning more about ourselves and about the world around us, and art always will reflect that. I don't know how better to answer it than that. I hope I answered it.
Yes. Hi.
Here, there's a mic.
I'm so excited. Once again, phenomenal job. I sat there and I thought to myself, what could I ask? And I look at Malachi, and you look like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. With this,
He told me he is still processing it. It's the first time he's seen his work.
yes, like the scenes, there were so many scenes where I almost stood